A new retooled Hoosier squad opened up the season on the road. We take a look at Indiana football's first game of the season and who's up next for the defensive-minded Hoosiers.
And it was a huge weekend for soccer right here in Bloomington. We'll see how both the men's and women's teams emerge from the Hoosier Cup competition. Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night. Out at Bill Armstrong Stadium for this week's episode of Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Juliana Sherry.
And I'm David Sugarman. A number of Hoosier sports teams were in action this past weekend. Some looking to stay undefeated, others, Juliana, just looking to pick up that first W.
Yeah, one of those teams that was looking for that first win, the Indiana football team. And last season they faced the FIU Golden Panthers very early on in the season and had to hold on very late in the game in order to keep them at bay.
Absolutely, and this time around they went on the road to Florida International for the very first time in program history. For the full highlights, we go to our football reporter, Brandon Pavlina.
Indiana making the trip to Ocean Bank Stadium on the campus of Florida International last Thursday. We picked this game up early in the first quarter with FIU driving. Alex Magoo under center gets the snap, but the Indiana defense is all over him. A little bit too aggressive though, as Tigray Scales got his hands up too high and ripped off Magoo's helmet, resulting in a 15-yard penalty against the Hoosiers, which extended FIU's drive, eventually winding up in a field goal. Later on in the first, the Golden Panthers backed up on their goal line, and Magoo is able to get the pass out to Anthony Jones, who gives them a little breathing room. But wait, there's a flag on the play, holding against FIU, and because the penalty occurred in the end zone, it results in a safety, giving Indiana its first points of the season. On to the second quarter now. Indiana up 5-3 on defense again. Magoo throws a completion, but to the wrong team. Picked off. Rashard Fant takes this gift all the way to the house. Griffin Oakes hits the PAT, extending the Hoosiers' lead to 9. The Golden Panthers were able to take the lead back with a field goal in the third, but FIU defense couldn't tame the new Hoosier offense, as Lego was able to complete a pass over the middle to Mitchell Page and get the Hoosiers driving into FIU territory. And here's the bruiser, Divine Redding. Big run right here, one of his better runs of the night, plowing through defenders for an 11-yard gain and a first down for the Hoosiers. Very next play, Richard Lego off the play action. Linebacker goes out in zone. Danny Friend slips right behind him, and with no DB over the top, there's nothing but green grass in front of him as he strolls into the end zone for the first offensive points of the season for Indiana, and Lego's first career touchdown pass as an Indiana Hoosier. And just for good measure, the Indiana defense making Tom Allen proud. Magoo drops back trying to set up the screen to Alex Gardner, but Scales is right there to pick it up, and he's able to waltz his way into the end zone. That's 2 defensive scores and a safety to start off the 2016 season for the Indiana Hoosiers, and Tom Allen clearly fired up and showing that emotion there on the sidelines. Indiana gets 22 unanswered in the fourth quarter and starts the season with a win on the road. Lego finished the night with 240 yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 through the air and 1 on the ground. No score for Divine Redding, but he had a solid performance, finishing with 135 yards, averaging 6.1 yards per carry. So up next for the Hoosiers, that team from Muncie, Ball State. The Cardinals are coming off a win against Georgia State. Cardinal quarterback Riley Neal had 15 completions on 29 attempts for 130 yards, but he also threw 2 interceptions. The Cardinals gained 325 yards on the ground, with 160 of those yards coming from running back James Gilbert. The defense allowed only 272 yards, 77 of those on the ground. Indiana leads the series all-time against the Cardinals 4-3, but has lost the last 3 meetings to Ball State, including a 41-39 loss in Bloomington in 2012. Coach Kevin Wilson is 4-1 in home openers, which includes a 4-game winning streak. Kickoff is slated for 4 p.m. this Saturday evening at Memorial Stadium right here in Bloomington, Indiana. For iOS TV Sports, I'm Brandon Pavlina.
So for a lot of Hoosiers, this will be the first time you're coming out to a home football game, although a lot of us, Juliana, of course, very familiar with the craziness that can ensue at Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, but even the seasoned veterans and the newbies will all have to be on the lookout for some of the new game day features that IU Athletics is putting into place this season. Our very own Drew Martin has more on those game day promotions that are going to be in place at this season's home games.
Raise the Flag will be the theme of this year's football season. You may not know that inside the southeast corner of Memorial Stadium is one of the largest flagpoles in the country. IU Athletics will start a new tradition this year, allowing members of the Student Athletic Board to raise the flag when IU wins. They also want you to use the hashtag #RaiseTheFlag when you post about IU football on social media. To minimize traffic on game days, IU Athletics will start a rideshare program for home games. There will be designated pickup and drop-off locations near Memorial Stadium. If you live in the city or on campus, take advantage of the rideshare service. If you decide to drive to the stadium because you want to tailgate, you'll be able to ride in special bike cabs that will take you between the stadium and the tailgate fields for free. You will also see oversized footballs across the campus and the city of Bloomington. They will feature artwork related to each game of the 2016 schedule. The intent is to help spread excitement about the season, and they are perfect sites for taking pictures. Hoosier fans will notice a new playing surface inside Memorial Stadium. The old surface was 8 years old, and it took a $700,000 renovation over the summer to replace it. New features include more vibrant end zones as well as a bright midfield State of Indiana logo. You will also see much more IU branding inside of the stadium. And for the first time, free beverage refills will be provided to those who purchase the souvenir cup at concession stands. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Drew Martin.
David, as we heard Drew mention, the oversized footballs are part of a new IU campaign to generate excitement about this year's football season.
That's right, Juliana. IU Athletics is teaming up with the city of Bloomington for the Football is Big at IU Art initiative. I was up at the stadium checking out the football for this week's game against Ball State. This is one of the fiberglass footballs that IU Athletics will be displaying throughout the city of Bloomington all throughout the Indiana football season. Now, before you get going, IU Athletics encourages that you send a conceptual sketch drawing their way so they have an idea of what you're working towards. And once you get to work as an artist, you're going to have a lot of fun with this canvas. I'm about 6'1", and this thing's a few inches taller than me, so there's a lot of creativity to be had. A few things you're going to want to take note of, though. IU Athletics does want you to have the Indiana colors, the cream and the crimson, as well as the IU logo. It's actually on both sides of the football. As well as down here, you'll see hashtag raise the flag. Definitely incorporate that somewhere into your piece. Of course, hashtag raise the flag, meaning raising the flag, which Indiana football does every time they pick up a victory, home or away. As well as that, you'll want the date of the game, as well as who they'll be playing that particular weekend. Don't forget, before you get going, send IU Athletics a sketch of what your project will look like, and then go ahead and have a lot of fun. Now, any artist who gets the chance to design their own football will get a $1,000 stipend for supplies. So before you get going, send that sketch into IU Athletics for the chance to get your artwork shown all around Bloomington. We're coming off a weekend that saw a number of different Hoosier teams in action. And Juliana, of course, whenever the Hoosiers play at home, it's a great chance to come out and rack up those Crimson Guard points.
Yeah, you know, David, last week we talked a lot about the amenities, but a lot of people don't even know what the IU Crimson Guard is. Well, just so happens that the IU marketing team released a video recently that explains just how you can get involved.
Students, download the official Crimson Guard Student Rewards app today. Attend athletic events and earn points to go shopping in the prize store and earn premium seats at basketball games. All you have to do is download the app and claim your points by checking in via your mobile phone, walking by our conveniently placed beacons, or scan your ticket at ticketed events. Download the app today and become a member of the official student section of Indiana University Athletics.
Some of the events that you can get out to this upcoming week in order to start racking up those Crimson Guard reward points. It was a big weekend for men's and women's soccer. Both played at home and were hosts to 8 different teams in the Hoosier Cup Challenge and the Adidas IU Credit Union Classic. Jacques Hoosier and Ben Wolfson were out covering the action at the pitch this past weekend.
Jerry Yeagley Field at Bill Armstrong Stadium welcomes 4 ranked men's teams to town for the Adidas IU Credit Union Classic over the weekend. First up for the Hoosiers, the Golden Bears of California. Early in the match, Nick Lima takes a shot at the goal, and Colin Webb gets a save on this play, but Webb can't keep them all out. Lima tries again just before halftime, and this time, a stroke of luck as the ball deflects off of Grant Lillard, and there is not much Webb can do to keep that out of the net. Bears score first, Hoosiers score last. In the 75th minute, Richard Ballard crosses the ball into the box. It deflects off of a Cal player. Trevor Swartz gets the rebound and the tying goal. Celebrate good times on the field. The Hoosier Army making their presence known as the Crab Band blasts the fight song across the field. The boys in crimson wanted to keep this one decided in regulation. Tanner Thompson in the 78th minute crosses to Rashard Hyacinth, who gets the header and the game winner. Or is it? Cal's Christian Therian tries sneaking one past Colin Webb, but is too wide for the goal. Indiana takes the match 2-1. And a big congrats to Hyacinth, who scores his first ever points for the Hoosiers. Up next for Indiana, a Sunday night match against Stanford that would prove to be a lot less offensive, at least as far as points were concerned. In the 16th minute, a Stanford player goes down on the play away from the ball. It appears that at most their feet just get a little tangled, but the sir didn't ask me, so Grant Lillard is given his first yellow card of the match. 35th minute, Tanner Thompson sends a pass to Andrew Gutman, but a Stanford player's foot gets in the way. Adam Masharafa taking down Gutman and getting a yellow card for Stanford in the process. 42nd minute, Lillard heads across the field putting a big hit on Adrian Alabi. Lillard will get his second yellow card and a disqualification from the match. Indiana down to 10 men for the rest of the game, and Lillard will have to sit out against Maryland, a number 2 team and a Big Ten conference opponent. Just before the half, Tanner Thompson gets knocked down, resulting in another card for Stanford, this time against Foster Langsdorff. Both teams were quite a bit chippy in this one, but there were a few attempts to score. In the 65th minute, Amir Bashti receives a nice pass and fires a shot at the net, but Colin Webb makes one of his 2 beautiful saves on the day. But just to make sure we're still watching the same game, Jared Gilby of Stanford takes down Tanner Thompson for another yellow card on the day. This one ended in a tie at 0. The rules of the Classic did not provide any penalty kicks to decide a winner, just 2 overtime periods. Up next for the Hoosiers, a conference match against number 2 Maryland at home this Friday at 7:30. It will be the 3rd ranked team in a row for the Hoosiers. The women were in action as well, getting shut out by Louisiana State on Friday and unable to bounce back with a win just yet, as Southern Methodist won the match on Labor Day 2-1. Up next for the ladies, they take the show on the road to Blacksburg, Virginia this Friday. For IUS TV Sports, I'm Jacques Rozier.
The volleyball team is off to a Human Torch level hot start this season, 7-0 for the 6th time in program history. This past weekend, the Hoosiers won the San Francisco Invitational, capping it off with a 3-0 win against Princeton. The Hoosiers will look to continue their hot start Friday when they head down to Florida for the FGCU Invitational, where they'll take on Marist.
There are many club sports here at Indiana that are receiving national exposure for the work that they do against other schools that have varsity teams.
And one of those teams is Indiana Rugby, who's already lighting up the scoreboard early on this season. In a game against IUPUI over the weekend, the Hoosiers shut out the Jaguars 87-0. The team is back in action this weekend for its annual alumni game. Check that out at Evan Williams Field behind the wrestling and volleyball gym.
Thanks for watching this week on Hoosier Sports Night. For David Sugarman, I'm Juliana Sherry. We'll see you next time.